Hey, it's Perry's Hotter, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making. So my last video, No One Cares About Your Comic Yet, was about finding that audience and how it's a slow build and people trickle in and over time. But this video, I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about the why, your motivation, what motivates you. This is very important, knowing your why. And if this is your first time coming across one of my videos, I'm just going to be talking over a time lapse of me drawing one of my pages from my own comic or manga, Cold Blooded. But anyway, you can just watch me draw or do something else while you listen to me talk about this. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. We got to find your why. So why is it important to know what your why is? Well, if you have flimsy reasoning or you haven't even really looked within about why it is you want to do what you want to do, it won't keep you going. Willpower can only take you so far. As a comic book artist, something I've learned is there's no thing that is going to make you a success overnight. You are in it for the long haul, and you're going to have to work at it every day for a very long time, years even. And I'm still working on it as I speak. I'm no expert, but I'm just sharing what I've experienced so far. Within this past year, I made so much progress, not just with my comic, but also with my weight. This past year, uh, or the last couple years, let's see, I graduated college in the 2018 December. And a couple months passed, and I got a job, and I couldn't get any publishers, no answers back from any publishers on my comic, no answers back on any animation jobs. So I got a job. I work at a jail, basically. Yeah. Never thought I'd be working there. But around the time I started that job, I started a diet. I had already been working on my comic and putting that out, and I was eventually would learn about Kickstarter and how to run one. But at the same time, I was also wanting to lose weight. I've always been concerned about it and always wanted to um, get fit. I had worked out at the gym, and I always thought that if I worked out enough, I could lose weight that way. And it never was enough. I had to diet. And so I embarked on this journey of dieting. And just like with making a comic, you need to know your why for losing weight, because flimsy reasoning won't stand in the face of temptation. Because day in and day out, I'm going to have to repeatedly deny myself when I go in and I see donuts at work, or uh, the inmates offer to make me chicken nuggets. Because if I take them up on those offers every day, I'm not going to lose any weight, and I may even gain weight, and that's not good. That's counterintuitive. And if I don't know my why, it's not going to stand, and willpower won't last. So the solution is finding your why. On this diet, I have a coach, and this coach told me about this exercise. Basically, you ask yourself why 3 times. But he took it a step forward and he said, ask yourself why 7 times. And I was pretty floored by this. If you answer this the first time, and I encourage you to do this exercise, you'll have a probably kind of pretty surface level reason. But if you ask yourself why again, you give a different answer. You ask yourself why again and give a much more in-depth answer. You may be shocked what you find. So I did this exercise, and I did it a little bit ago with my comic. Why I want to make my comic. And what's funny is not only did my coach have me do this exercise, I did the same exercise in Comics Launch. That's right. I enrolled in an online course called Comics Launch, which teaches creators how to use Kickstarter, basically how to launch and fund a successful Kickstarter. And Tyler James, the guy who runs it all, also had this same exercise. His wasn't 7 times, but it was just the 3 times. But still, it's a very powerful tool at your disposal. And finding your motivation is very important, because I'm the type of person that if I'm going to do something, I have to be all in. I can't do anything half-hearted, because if it's half-hearted and I'm not really dedicated, it is not going to last. When I started this diet, I could tell most people doubted me, or they didn't really believe in me. If I had a weaker, resolve, then I would have gave way and I would have become exactly what they thought it was. But I had to shut them out. I had to focus. And yeah, I made mistakes. I may have had some false starts. I may have lost some weight and then gained some weight and then lost some weight. But surely but steady, I stuck to this diet. And a year later, I had been about at my job a year, and I'd been on this diet almost as long as I'd been at the job. And a year later, I went from roughly a little over 200 to 155. I lost 50 pounds. So I could tell people knew after the results, and people saw that, they recognized that, like, oh, I actually did it. I actually succeeded, and I wasn't just going to give up within the first week or the first month. I stuck with it because I knew my why. And it wasn't no half-hearted. It's like, I'm all in. I'm ready to do this. And that's the kind of attitude that you have to have with making your comic, or really anything you strive to do in life. So let me just share my whys for making comics. And I did this twice, and I got slightly different reasons. I may go over twice, but I'll just go ahead and start. So, what motivates me to make comics? I ask myself, why do you want to make manga? Because I want success. Well, why do you want success? Because I want all the time and effort I put into it to be worth it. And I ask myself, why do you want it to be worth it? Because I don't want it to be a waste of time. Well, why don't you want it to be a waste of time? Because I'm investing time into it in the hopes that it will pay off. Why do you want it to pay off? So I can make comics and make a living. Why do you want to make a living at comics? Because it is my passion, and I can't sit by living an average life, comfortable, collecting money at 9 to 5 that I could care less about. You see how my answer is already getting longer? And then here's 7. Why is it your passion and you don't want an average job? So there's kind of 2 questions in one, but I'm counting it as one. And basically my answer is because I have a story to tell, and comics is the medium I deem best to tell it. I don't want to work a normal job for the rest of my life, because I want my life to mean something more, to leave an impact on the world, and I have an idea in my head of what my future will be like, and I will stop at nothing until I get that future or something as close to it as I can get. So that's a pretty loaded answer. That's more than a sentence. That was a few sentences. It's like a small paragraph. And it's like, do this for yourself. Hearing me list these off might not do anything for you, but when you do it yourself and find something deeply personal to you, you can go back to that why each and every day. So you can motivate yourself to get up. Maybe it's to get up early in the morning to work on your comic, or to promote your comic, or to lose that weight, or whatever endeavors it is that you have. And, looking at this answer, I do have a story to tell. What I originally wanted is another short little story is I wanted to be an animator. I have these characters in my head and sketches from middle school, and I want to get it out of my head and make it tangible so people can see it, read it, and enjoy it, right? And I thought animation was the way I wanted to go, but there's problems with that. This is every artist thinks that, oh, this is my magnum opus, right? And that's kind of how I'm thinking, even though there's no guarantee that it is. But that's the way I'm looking at it. And TV shows give way to they first of all, they take years in production. They can get canceled for any reason at all, or not even picked up. Someone can buy your pitch and not even make your show. And then there's creative freedom. An executive or someone tells you what you can and can't do, and I don't like that. And also, lastly, I want to be able to draw and do the writing of the story. And a lot of these showrunners, I don't know that they really get to do all that much drawing. It's kind of like you either draw it or you write it, but I don't know if it's both. But not being a showrunner, I don't really know. I know they probably do draw some. They probably have to. But this is what took me down my route that I want to do comics, because it takes so much just to get into the animation industry and pitch a show. And I don't feel motivated to go through all that time and energy for what feels like so little when I can make my comic right now and put it out on the internet. And all I have to do is push and promote it and keep making it. And to me, that seems more worthwhile my time. And so, lastly, I've been rattling off for like over 10 minutes now. So I'll give up my last um, seven questions I asked myself. So I asked myself again, why do you want to make manga? But here I gave slightly different answers. Because I have a story to tell. Why do you have a story to tell? Because I thought of it and continue to think of it every day, and I can't stop thinking of it until I get it out of my head. Why do you want it out of your head? Because I want to create something others can view outside of my imagination. Why do you want others to view it? Because I want to share it with the world. Why do you want to share it with the world? Because I want to communicate my worldview to them. Why do you want to communicate your worldview? Because I am inept at telling it personally and find telling it through the surrogate of a story does a much better job of getting across. Yeah, if you ever meet me, I kind of have to know someone for a while before I can really talk to them. And even then, I'm not so much trusting or vulnerable with people even that I know well. But a story can change it. I can really get out my thoughts and what I really think through a story, and that's what that kind of explains. But anyway, before I close the video, again, my name is Perry's Hodder, Perry S_Hodder. Follow me on all social media. Subscribe to me here on YouTube. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all that awesomeness. And my manga is called Cold Blooded. If you enjoyed watching me draw and you love Dragon Ball Z or One Punch Man, you might like my manga. My manga is about Rem Snart, a teenager who misses his father. After his father's disappearance 5 years ago, he discovers latent reptilian abilities brought out by a shadowy figure determined to end his life. The first 10 chapters are free on my Patreon. If you support me for $1 on Patreon, right as of this video, it may change in the future by the time you see this, but you can read the immediate next chapter, chapter 11. And so go check that out. If you haven't seen my last video, You can click on it here. If you want to see future videos, subscribe. Until then, have a nice day and go make comics or pursue whatever it is you want to do.